Welcome. Today we are going to be discussing the Platinum 3776. So this is a almost a cornerstone of the fountain pen industry. Platinum Company had been around since 1919, and they actually have a model by that same moniker as well. This model came out, the 3776, it came out in 1978 in collaboration with Haruo Umeda, if I'm pronouncing that right, who was a writer and fountain pen collector. So he worked in collaboration with Platinum Company to design this pen, which he wanted to be the ultimate writing experience. The 3776 was so named because it was the height of Japan's highest mountain, Mount Fuji. This particular model was also cool for two reasons. A, it's a demonstrator. A demonstrator is a model that's clear, so you can see the entire operations within of the fountain pen. So that way you can see the ink window, you can see everything going on. Another really cool thing is on shimmer inks, like you can see right there, the shimmer has been settling. So this really lets you see how shimmer inks act. The second reason this pen is really cool is because this is a limited edition. This is the limited edition Shoji model, which is why that lake is highlighted right there. It almost looks like a NASCAR type thing with all the different symbols, but those are all actually lakes in Japan, kind of like we have the Great Lakes here in America. This is their version. This particular pen is modeled after one of the lakes, Shoji, and that's this kind of nice translucent, just a hint of blue when you see it really on the outskirts there as it shines through. So it's got a hint of blue too. All right, so at base level of different kind of translucent models that are all kind of could be considered demonstrators like that, you're starting at about $200 going up to $300 for the nicer ones, and then you've got limited editions. Starting in 2011, they started releasing special editions each year, and these are some of the special editions. This one is the one I have right here, the Shoji. We're going to keep going up. They've got different colors, different patterns on the actual resin, the plastic there. So these special editions can go for way more than the regular editions. So not only is this demonstrator aspect just really cool that you can kind of see everything, in 2011, they also released this particular Century model, which had this innovation in the cap. So the Platinum 3776 innovation is this insert in the cap. You can actually see it under here. It's a smaller cap within the cap, and it is under spring tension. You can see the spring there, and it can twist independently of the actual cap. So you actually get a double seal is what it results in. So we're going to watch it there. Ready? And we're going to screw this up, and it's now making contact with the inner cap, and you'll see these numbers and things are going to spin. That's that inner cap spinning to meet the feed there. So now this is actually double capped in essence. We've got one cap right there under spring tension that is now independent of the secondary cap and its threads here. So this is a really cool design, and this helps them purportedly say the ink will stay good in your pen if it's capped for up to even 2 years. So this is a really, really cool innovation, and that's one of the big things that goes as a, absolute must-have in this pen. This is one of the things that makes this pen this pen. I also find as an added benefit, because it caps up there at the feed, even when this pen is jostled around, I don't get ink up here on the threads at all. So this helps secure it way better than a typical pen. And they call this the slip and seal cap. And this cap also has about a 1.75 rotation, so about 1 3/4 rotation to it. So it's a pretty quick on and off cap. It's not too cumbersome. So at this price point, you are basically looking at pens of two different types of calibers. You've got pens that go all in on the body and typically have like a steel nib underneath. Or you've got pens that kind of go all in on the nib, and the body is a little bit sparing in its aesthetics, we'll say. And that's what we see here. This thing has a 14 karat gold nib, which is very nice. This one is a bold, so you see the B. down at the bottom there. It's got a little bit of scroll work running up it. Nothing super crazy. You've got the model 3776 engraved there, which is nice too. So that's nice. I will say the geometry of these particular nibs, though, is more flat than most all others. Most other nibs are kind of more curved. The Platinum 3776 nib has a longer, flatter part here, and that imparts a different feel to the nib than a standard, like this is a Bach nib, for instance. So most other nibs are a little bit more rounded, kind of on this side angle there, versus this one goes very sharply kind of into that contrast. It's like very flat for the most of it, and that imparts a really different feel to this pen. So what does that translate to? Well, it means that this nib is a little bit more on the stiff side, but it's very responsive. So it's a very crisp feel, which a lot of people really appreciate. It's got a little bit more feedback. It's very responsive, like we said here. This pen is very reliable. I've never had any sort of feed issues, any sort of flow issues, even with this heavy shimmer in there. I've never really, which I really enjoy the the fact that it's clear, you can see through to see where the shimmer is kind of chunking up. So, but I've never had any flow issues here. So it's a very reliable pen, especially with that cap seal going and keeping the ink good for supposedly up to 2 years even. That's a really, really cool thing. And this is where we say, if you really use this type of nib and you really find it to your liking, you can get even more than limited edition bodies. You can get crazy beautiful aesthetic bodies. Here we find examples of Urushi. I love this leaf one there. This one has like an abalone inlay to it. And then you've got other varieties of 3776 that can go way up in price as well. So if you do love this type of nib feel, you definitely can go up and up into the body and deck that out as much as you want to adorn that nib. Now we'll do some size comparisons. Here we have it up against a Pilot Vanishing Point. And I'm going to align these sides over here. Here we have it up against a Retro 51. Here is our Zizo Maestro. And here we have a Pilot 743. More similar in style, but the 743 is definitely bigger. Let's take a look from above. So the Shoji is a little bit more on the smaller side. It does post, which is nice if you want it to. Personally, I don't really post my pens, but it is nice that you can post this one, and that would help with the length, but otherwise I find it's just enough. It does reach the crook of my hand there, so I don't usually post this pen. Conclusions. So this is a nice pen. It's got a really lot of things going for it. So, I mean, besides the fact that this is itself a limited edition model, and it's almost a cornerstone of the fountain pen industry. It's been being produced for so long. So a lot of people really, really like this pen and this style nib. So it's got a lot going for it there. If you do really like this feel, it is, the world is your oyster, so to speak, because you can go up and up in value as far as you want for the body. So that's a really cool thing. Personally, this one, I do love the Demonstrator. I think that's really cool. I do like, it's got a slight kind of, it's not a concave grip, but it tapers down here. So you've got a tapered edge there to grip everything. The cap is amazing. The cap that keeps this ink good for that long is just insane. And it really helps seal. Like I said, I don't get ink up here on this side. No, I clean. I'm always cleaning pens. That's why my hands are inky. But so, I mean, up here, look, there's nothing here. Every now and again, if I carry other pens and they're jostled about, you know, these ones will get ink on my my fingers. So other ones will get ink on your fingers, where this one seals so well. So that is really a super benefit of this pen. Some of the potential downfalls, it's a little tiny bit on the smaller side for me. So, I mean, I don't usually post it. I don't really care to post it. And I mean, that would solve it, but that shifts the weight so far up. The balance when it's posted is way back here, and it's just too much. So I don't really post it. And it's a little too small for me in that sense. You know, the Nib 2 is not really my style. That extra kind of stiffness. It is lighter and more bouncy than a steel nib. However, I mean, my go-to is a flex nib. So that's where I'm coming from, is I really like a flex nib. So this is on the stiffer side, and I don't personally care for this nib style myself. However, like I said, there's a ton of people who do, and this is a giant cornerstone of the industry. So that is kind of where I'm at with this pen. It's a awesome thing because it's got this amazing cap. This one in particular is a limited edition, which typically these only go up in price. I really enjoy the Demonstrator aspect. I think that's really cool that you can see where the shimmer is sitting, especially in your ink, besides just seeing where your ink level is. I think that those are all awesome things. In addition, the fact that you've got that gold nib, even though it's not really my preferred style of nib, it is still a gold nib, and that is an awesome thing at this price point as well. So overall, it's not always my favorite pen. However, it's a really reliable, consistent writer, and I do appreciate that. So much so that I actually keep my favorite ink in here, Diamine Arctic Blue. I always have this inked up in that ink. I just love that ink, and it works so well with this pen with that just light blue tinge because of the limited edition resin here. So I'm keeping this around. It is a great pen. It's very reliable. It's not always my go-to for, you know, when I'm going to journal or when I'm going to write someone a letter, but this thing is always there for me when I need it, and I do appreciate that. So thank you for watching this review of the Platinum 3776. This particular model was a Shoji from, what was it, 2012, I think it was. Should mention too, it's got the white gold iridium here on the clip and over here on the band too, so that was a nice adornment there, and then a little bit up here, a little tiny flare. I took the body off here, and you can see the converter it comes with is nice. I like the chrome or steel components there that kind of reflect light. Gives it a nice shimmer when it's in the body too. So, but it does come with that nice converter that gives you plenty of fill, and it lasts you for quite a while. Another benefit of the 3776. I hope you've enjoyed this review of the 3776. Do you have one of these in your collection? If so, did you enjoy the feel of the nib? What are your thoughts on the 3776? I would love to hear them. Take care, and we'll see you soon.